So, hi everyone, it's Blue here, and it's time for another video now that we're reaching the end of May. This month, still fully in lockdown, has been a busy one for me. I've read 4 very different books, and I've now hit 19 for the year. Yeah, 19. I really didn't think I'd get this far. 18 to go. Last year was only 26 total, so feeling pretty good about it, seeing as we're only just reaching the end of May. First 3 books I read this year were part of the Asian Readathon, led by Read with Cindy. As I mentioned in the last video, I was going to try and read just a few to get different flavours and different feelings. I started with Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, which was a YA fantasy folklore tale of a young half kitsune girl travelling with, I guess, a reluctant companion, shinobi of samurai of the Shadow Clan. It's filled with demons and battles from start to finish, and the characters were really quite endearing, and it was set at a nice pace. It's the first in a trilogy, so I'm definitely going to look up the second and third ones. I think they're all on Scribd, which is where I've been reading most of my ebooks lately. But I'll have a look at that. Second was the Supernova Era by Cixin Liu. Apologies if that is hideously pronounced. It's a sci-fi book that explores the question, what would happen if everyone over the age of 13 were to die, with the children having 1 year of training to take over. It's quite a nice idea, but at times it felt very propaganda-like. Example being like the American kids just wanted to play war with their tanks and their guns, while the Chinese kids were super intelligent and wise beyond their years and just wanted to think about the future and world peace. So it was a little bit preachy at times and a little bit, I don't know how comfortable I am with this, but it kind of, I guess the worst thing about it was it kind of just became dull. Once you kind of got that, okay, the Chinese kids are clearly heroes, then it kind of lost its kind of interest, and it kind of just finished. It was quite dull, and I don't think I'm going to look to read anything else by this author. I don't know if it's the author or if it's the translation, but something just felt off, and it wasn't for me. The third book was this lovely one right here, This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sugiura. A teen fiction book, which I think was from Illumi Crate or one of those subscription boxes. It's a teen fiction book that kind of follows a young Japanese-American girl called CJ, who works with her aunt at a flower arranging shop that's been in their family on and off for a few generations. It explores CJ's life as a teenager, not living up to her mother's expectations, or what she believes her mother's expectations are of her. It deals with her fairly introverted, awkward feelings about being with her friends and whether her friends really want to be with her. And it kind of explores her, in her own eyes, failing where her friends are succeeding. Whilst doing this, it also, importantly, addresses racism and the internment of the Japanese Americans during World War II, and how the white families profited off this by buying everything up at pennies on the dollar and then claiming all this land as their own, and taking it away from the families who it belonged to and who deserved it more. It was a really interesting read. I would very much recommend it. I don't know if Misa Sugiura has any other books, but I'm going to have to go and look, because I read this, I think, in 3 sittings, which I know it's not the biggest book in the world, but it sure is pretty, and that helps. The 4th book I read was A Darkness at Sethanon by Ramon Feist. So I've now finished reading the Riftwar Saga, the first saga of the Riftwar cycle. Been reading this, as mentioned before, along with a Discord channel for the Midkemia, the one of the worlds in the series. We've been doing a reread during lockdown, and now we're on day 69, I think today is. Holy cow, that's a lot of days. So in that time, we've now read Magician, or Magician's Apprentice and Magician Master, Silverthorn, and A Darkness at Sethanon. The Riftwar cycle as a whole is my favourite series. I made no question over that. That's I think I've mentioned that in every video ever. But Ramon Feist's writing is just so descriptive and so rich, and I have aphantasia, which means I have no visual imagination, no mind's eye, which sucks. But the descriptive writing and just the world building in this book and this series as a whole, it really helps me. So this was the third and final book in the first saga, and it really kind of tied things up nicely for that kind of era in the history of the worlds. You see more development with Pug the Magician, who's the main character throughout the whole 30-book saga, and his boyhood friend Thomas, as well as finding out more about the great sorcerer Macross the Black, whilst also maintaining a real kind of focus on the character Jimmy the Hand, the boy thief turned squire, who he's just great. He's really written like a teenager. Everything's perfect. I think in this one he's probably about the age of 17, 18. I don't remember off the top of my head, even though I finished the book yesterday. But these characters span many books, many decades, and I would recommend it to anyone. So now that I've read those 4 books this month, I need to start looking up what's next. I think I'm probably going to take a step back and not try and read as much in June, just to give myself a little bit of a break. I'm meant to be getting married in a couple of weeks, but who knows, because that was meant to happen in April. Don't tell my fiance I got that wrong. So we'll see where that goes. But I did get 2 books in the post this week that I am quite excited about. First was Aurora Burning, the sequel to Aurora Rising, which by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff is going right up near the top of my TBR. I really enjoyed the first one, although I think because I read the first one so closely after finishing Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, I kind of got a bit mixed between the two. I wasn't sure, am I just comparing it to Skyward, and am I remembering one thing as being from one series when it's actually from the other, because they're quite similar. I definitely enjoyed Aurora Rising, and I look forward to reading Aurora Burning. The newest one to arrive, which I'm sure is the same for most people, is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which I cannot wait to read. And again, screw the dust jackets, this is a really nice looking book. I enjoyed the Hunger Games books when I was younger. Who didn't? I don't think I ever finished watching the films because I wasn't the biggest fan of how it ended. But I'm looking forward to giving this a go. It's going to be the next book I read. Thankfully, if the other 3 books are anything to go by, it shouldn't take too long to get through. Because I do have some. I know I said I don't want to read as many books in June, but I've got so many that I want to read. I have already started Vicious by V.E. Schwab, but I'm not sure if I'm going to carry on with reading that right now, or if I'm just going to park it and come back to it after I've read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Aurora Burning, or whether I just plough through with Vicious and Vengeful, because I've got a really nice copy of each of them and I just want to read them, and I've never read them before. So I guess that's probably about it from me for now. Just trying to think if there's anything else outstanding. I don't think I'm going to go back to Night House by Lee Bardugo. I think I'm just going to DNF it, which I'm quite disappointed in. I really wanted to enjoy it. I got a really nice copy of it from, I think again from a Luma crate or one of those boxes. There's tons of them. They're all good. They're all a bit too much for me. I think a lot of these boxes come with very female oriented products inside, stereotypically at least anyway. Not to say that a candle can't be enjoyed by anyone. I have one of them here on my desk. Fairy Loot was the other one I was trying to think of. This candle's actually from Illumicrate. That sits on my desk. But I think I cancelled my subscriptions with both of those services about a year ago now. I might sign up for the book-only sub that I think Illumicrate is still doing. But we'll see. I mean, I've got a nice stack of like 20 books over there that still need reading. As well as I recently purchased The Toll and Thunderhead, the second and third books in the Scythe trilogy by Neil Schusterman, which I started earlier in the year. My book club that I'm part of has just... I don't think they've finished it yet, but they're just getting to the end of Scythe. So I'm looking forward to seeing what book we come up with next so I can join in with them. I think it's a Jasper Ford book, which suits me quite well because I've read 3 of the Thursday Next books in the last year. I've got the 4th one in my TBR pile, but hey, I can go down a bit further, right? Anyway, I think that's enough from me for now. I'll check back in after a few more books, and I hope everyone stays safe. Bye!